Alright, so here we go. So today we're taking a look at our very first real early review in progress of the Diablo 4 in-game. There's also some concerns about the in-game's gameplay loop. More on that in a moment. Also, some fake news about Diablo 4 went out, and we need to clear the air about that one because it went very viral. So yeah, we got to talk about it. Plus, yes, mount abilities are a thing, and a new gameplay trailer shows off the 6 monster families, unique encounters, bosses, and much more. A lot to talk about, but yeah, check this out right here. So we all know how important it is to have a sleek user interface in, well, games like Diablo 4. I needed that, but for my internet browser, and that's when I discovered Opera GX. It has a beautiful, sleek look that is also highly customizable. Just look at what you can do with mods, for example, which allow you to completely change the look and feel of the browser. There's a ton of mods to choose from, but I went with the Dark Souls theme, and now Opera GX looks and sounds like I have stepped into the world of Dark Souls. Let's just say I love it. And with mods, you can edit the shaders, the theme, the wallpaper, the background music, browser sounds, and even the keyboard sounds. Take a listen. And get this, Opera GX can enhance your PC's performance with GX Control and Network Limiter, so your games run great both online and off, no more lag, and you can even integrate Twitch, Facebook Messenger, Discord, Twitter, WhatsApp, Telegram, and much more to keep track of your online life in one place. It's also available on PC and mobile, so download it right now for free in that description below. And I love the GX Corner, which keeps you up to date on all the latest game releases, gaming news, but GX Corner is also fantastic because it helps you spot free games and the best deals. GX Corner has also done a great job in finding me that hidden gem in a sea of game releases. So join me right now and click that link in the description below to download Opera GX, the best browser experience for gamers. All right, so yeah, let's get into the official stuff. First and foremost, talking about that big controversy because some fake news went absolutely viral recently, and we have a correction from Blizzard, and then we're going to dive into the brand new gameplay trailer, which talks about some really cool stuff. All right, so first and foremost, we have this right here. Diablo 4's mounts are off limits until you beat the campaign, but wait, hold up, because we got an immediate reply from Rod Ferguson of Blizzard, who says this: actually, we clarified that was a mistake. It actually happens as part of the quest line during the campaign. But we want to know more exactly how this system works. Thankfully, we have full clarity today from Adam Fletcher, the community manager of Blizzard. He says this: we update our Play Your Way blog to help clarify some questions related to mounts and when these become available. Now, mounts, they unlock through completing a quest line as you progress naturally through the main story campaign. Mounts have an assortment of customization options available to them, such as different types of mounts, armor, and trophies. Take a look at them, by the way. Here's some gameplay that they showcased recently in that new gameplay trailer. They look really, really cool. An example of this is the Cry of a Shava mount trophy reward that can be earned from the upcoming server slam. These adornments will transform your trusty old steed into one hell of a war horse. Mount trophies can be attached to the flank or saddle of your horse. Yet there are dozens of trophies to be found in Sanctuary. Now, once a mount is unlocked, by the way, it can be used in all game modes for any and all characters the player creates. So essentially, it is account-wide. Now we know, now the controversy is dispelled, so you do not have to wait until you beat the entire campaign to gain access to your mount. In fact, from the recent tips and tricks video on the Diablo 4 official YouTube channel, it was seen that someone was actually playing with the mount at level 25. So yeah, it seems like you can get the mount kind of pretty quickly in this game. But we got to talk about that brand new gameplay trailer that did release for Diablo 4. It included tips and tricks and a lot of cool stuff, but also it talked about monster families and, yes, the special monsters. So there's going to be 6 monster families in the game, and these include the cannibals, the drowned, the fallen, the ghoul, the goatmen, and of course the skeletons. And what's unique about the monster families is, yes, they're going to have their own elites. Most importantly, they're going to also have unique monsters within. And you also have to remember, with monster families, what's so unique about them is you can target farm them for certain items. So yeah, for example, the skeletons will be dropping more crossbows, and we have yet to discover what the goatmen will be dropping more of, but yeah, there's certain bonuses tied to certain gear and items. But we got to move on and talk about the special monsters. So these special monsters will drop incredibly specific gear that will always have the same stats when dropped, meaning that you can go ahead and specifically fine-tune your build by hunting these special monsters. But do not expect to farm these monsters, as they always drop the same item. But this is going to be a really cool way to be able to discuss with friends and to be able to really figure out the game as to what monsters to go after for that specific sought-after, unique, or rare weapon. All right, so we got to also talk about that. Yes, it was noted that in this new gameplay trailer, each class has dismount abilities when jumping off their actual mount. This is such a cool feature. Now, they don't sound like they're going to be completely OP, but it sounds like there's multiple varying abilities to where you can actually initiate battle from your horse, and that's going to be really, really cool. So yeah, we got to talk about that in-game review in progress. And yes, it is very much review in progress. This comes from Riker, who got to sit down and play the in-game in depth and give his opinion here. And yeah, it seems like he's pretty honest, because he does talk about both the good and the bad and his concerns. And I think there's some nuances in here that you might have missed. So let's go ahead and dive into that right now. So yeah, he talked about his experience with the in-game. He was given a well-geared level 45 rogue character to play with. And his first goal was to basically complete the capstone dungeon to unlock the 3rd world tier, but encountered some difficulties with champion monsters and the actual boss fight itself. He had to adjust his build and craft fully upgraded gear to increase damage output, and eventually overcame the challenge. Now, Riker did conclude that the in-game is both a gear and skill check, and that players should expect a significant challenge when unlocking Nightmare difficulty. He stresses the importance of being at the correct level to tackle the dungeons and adapting builds to survive one-shot mechanics. So yes, that is definitely going to be a concern with the going into the in-game, is being aware about the one-shot mechanics. Now, respecs are also available in the in-game, and players do generate gold rapidly enough to afford it even at level 75, but he did warn that he was only really able to respec the entire Paragon board, not his entire character from scratch. That's a different beast, so I'm assuming that is a lot more expensive in the in-game. And in the in-game, it seems like it's going to be more about the Paragon board, and respecing your character from scratch might be the area that is a little bit concerning and expensive, I would assume. Now, Riker also talks about the importance of speccing into survivability in the in-game. One-shots are common if you're not prepared for them, and it's a skill check that you only have split seconds to react to. He advises hardcore players, by the way, to try softcore first to get to know what they're up against. Additionally, leveling up your glyphs will be a core part of increasing your character's power and improving your Paragon tree. Now, the glyphs become more powerful once they're leveled up, and it's important to find the right glyphs for your specific build. The glyphs are inserted, of course, into the Paragon board into a meaningful slot, which affects like a wide area of the Paragon board itself. Now, also, we got to talk about the Nightmare and Capstone dungeons, as well as Helltide, which is where players can target farm specific item drops and obtain important crafting materials. Now, the baseline sigils are easy enough to run, but players can also unlock higher Nightmare sigils to make the dungeons as challenging as they want. Now, while Nightmare dungeons are things that players don't have to be slamming their heads against, the most challenging aspect were the capstone dungeons. One concern Riker did bring up is that only 30 of the regular dungeons will become Nightmare dungeons in each season, which could result in complaints if players can't do all 115 or however many are in the game as Nightmare dungeons. Now, Helltide is pretty challenging in itself and includes different random events that spawn, including distinct roaming boss monsters that can be encountered. And also remember that you might be running into the Butcher in Helltide. I'm curious to see if he's like an upgraded version of the Butcher, but yes, those type of encounters can definitely happen in Helltide events. Now, of course, he talked about how you will be farming Helltides or Cenders for rewards, And the spawn rate of Hell Tides is 1 hour on and 1 hour off, meaning that players must plan their gameplay accordingly. However, Riker did express concern about limiting players' agency and the potential for a tedious and complicated schedule-based in-game loop. So this is where it's kind of the concern. Now, there were some concerns about actually finding really good items for his build in the in-game of Diablo 4. He explained that the odds of getting a legendary that was good for his build were considered low. He had to find a base item that was an upgrade along with a legendary essence to extract and put onto it, or find items that are altogether really strong. However, he does note that this may not be the case for most people as they progress through different difficulty tiers, where gear upgrades will become easier. Additionally, he talks about the Paragon boards and how they completely changed his view on them, since each class gets 7 to 8 boards that are themed around the central legendary power, which he finds more powerful than legendary affixes. So it seems like he's kind of happier with the Paragon boards now that he went hands-on with them. Now, one issue with the Paragon board is that you cannot apparently plan ahead for it, as there is no planner built into the game. It's the same with the Paragon board powers. You can only see them if you're at a gate node that will connect to a new Paragon board, making it more challenging to plan. So this is where it's kind of strange with the Paragon board. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be many different online resources that will alleviate this, so I don't think it's going to be a big problem for most of you in the future. Furthermore, Riker did go on to confirm his favorite and least favorite character builds from the in-game, and this is where it gets very interesting. He says his favorite was the permanent werewolf stormcaster druid build, I kid you not, followed by the berserking barbarian and lightning sorcerer. That gets me excited to hear that the barbarian is clear up there on his rank list. That is so cool to hear. Now, the necromancer came in as his least favorite, though, due to the difficulty of having a pet build with haphazard minions that cannot be targeted. Now, while minions did die regularly due to nerfs made to minion survivability, he still found himself generating enough corpses to replenish the army. Despite having preferred targetable minions, he felt that he had enough to do with active abilities and blood lance during combat. Now, I do want to say something about that. It would be cool if you can actually specifically target certain elites or monsters that you really need to handle just by having some sort of command prompt so you can actually command your army. I think that this needs to be fine-tuned in the future and would bring a lot more meaning behind your minions. I think it would be cool. I know it's kind of a nuanced feature, but it does make a lot of sense that they would add something like that into the game. But yeah, there's his assessment of the in-game. Overall, some concerns still linger so far about the in-game. My biggest concern with the in-game is definitely being able to go in and kind of respec your entire build if you absolutely need to. That seems to be a little bit of a concern. Also, when it comes to actually finding legendary items, unique items, and considering that they are so rare, well, I think some people might actually complain about that, considering how amazing the drops were during the beta. And I'm curious to see, again, how you all will be reacting to the server slam, given that the drop rate is going to be reflecting of what we're going to be expecting with the full version of the game. Again, everything is going to be super rare. Anything that we actually are seeking in terms of legendaries, uniques, and that sort of thing, don't expect to be dropping at your feet every 5 seconds like in the beta. All right, so now it's time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. So yes, what was my most recent video about? It was about this one right here. A critical update reveals major feature for season's rare monster changes. So yeah, good news if you did not hear. Once you complete the single player story once, you can go ahead and skip it basically for every single season, every experience that you have in Diablo 4. It's account wide, so that's going to be great for replayability. Now, let's see what you guys had to say about that. Now, Dagon goes on to say this: the Monk and Witch Doctor are their most unique classes, and they make for amazing expansion pieces. As long as the Monk has 7-sided strike, it's gonna be amazing. Dude, if they add the Monk in, I'm gonna be celebrating. They did say that they were considering having nostalgic type classes in the future, that's something that is on the table and that they aren't shying away from. So that is potentially something that could happen in the future. Keep sounding off what you would like to see from even Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Now, Braun says this: I personally like the regulations they've placed on farming. I'd rather have multiple farming methods I will have to use to get the gear I want, rather than repeating the same optimal dungeon over and over. Another addition in keeping the game feeling fresh. P.S. I check your channel every day, and you're doing a terrific job. I'm trying. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, I like the idea of being able to explore the entirety of the world and having multiple, I guess you'd say, revenue streams for farming. I think that is very cool instead of it just being one dungeon over and over again. We were doing that in the beta, me and my twin bro Ryan, and we were like, man, you know, I hope this is not actually how it's going to be. I want to be able to explore the world and be rewarded constantly just by doing my thing, exploring naturally. So I'm hoping that's the case, but again, I know for a fact there will be the hardcore community that absolutely finds that one method that is just the best method for farming. It happens in every ARPG, and I don't think Diablo 4 will be any different. Now, Ian says this right here: I think the monk will be the most unique enough class that they could bring back in the future. Build them a martial arts archetype. Yeah, again, 100% for the monk. I hope they do and they really listen to the community, because, dude, that would absolutely make my day. Thank you so much for all the comments and support on the videos. I have you guys covered. We are entering into May very, very soon. That's going to be the server slam, and then June's going to be here. The actual game is going to be releasing. Remember, if you got the deluxe edition or the ultimate edition, you'll be able to play early access as soon as June 1st. I've made videos about that. I'll try to recap it once again once we get closer to release for you all. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.